gonna do some work here, but we're putting a zip wake on, we're putting some spray rails, and we're redoing the bottom. And right now we have like 17.5 to 18.5 knot cruise at like 2,200 RPMs, and pretty fair amount of roll. Pitch. We'll see what the zip wake system does with that. I'll update this progress as we move along. All right, so here's our bottom here. So we're gonna do a couple of things here. We just had the bottom washed. There was some growth on there, had some barnacles, stuff like that. See, there's some barnacles still stuck on there, but it had some barnacles on it, and we're gonna be. It had these. We just took these off, but these are little wedges that were glued to the bottom there that they kind of used as a trim tab. We took those off there. We're going to be replacing that with an actual trim system called a zip wake, which is an interceptor, not a trim tab. One of the things that goes on with this boat here is that this boat was initially, this is the old rudder port, but this was a twin screw boat, and it was converted over from a twin screw to a single screw. And they put this keel extender on here. And this keel extender really is having a negative effect on my efficiency here. So we're gonna cut this back. I don't know whether you can see this or not, but this thing's like, this thing's like 5 inches wide and flat across the bottom. And what that's doing is it's, when my prop is trying to pull water, it's disturbing the water and giving me unclean water for my prop to strike, and that is having a significant effect on my efficiency, I believe. But we're going to cut that back. We're going to be adding some spray rails. We're going to make our rudder here so that it's a standalone rudder. We're going to lose our little protection here that we have protecting our wheel, but I'm not planning on going super shallow anytime soon. We're going to put some spray rails on. We're going to redo the bottom. We're going to smooth everything out, make everything flat. We'll get soda blasted tomorrow, and grind everything down and make it smooth and repaint it. Put the spray rails on there. We'll see what we get for efficiency out of it. Should get a lot more speed too. Let's see. All right, so here's an update of what we've got going on here. We have cut and faired this keel extender off of the prop, which this is the bottom surface of that. That's like 5 inches thick, and this was in front of our prop, so this was adding a considerable amount of disturbance to the water before the propeller. And this extended out towards the rudder, and this was on the bottom of the rudder right here, and it was just kind of unnecessary. We're not planning on running into any rocks or anything, so we removed these boards. Were permanently in place right here under the bottom of the boat, and we've removed those, but we're going to install this zip wake system here, and instead of having those little boards right there, we've had the bottom of the boat soda blasted. We're going to go through and fill all of the pits in here. We're going to get all of this stuff sharpened up and streamlined. We've already started sharpening the rudder and getting all that stuff so that it's more hydrodynamic. and we're going to add spray rails along the chine, get lift. So that's what we got going on here. Alright, just gonna give you guys a quick update of what we've been doing here. So we've been going through the bottom of the boat, which soda blasted, and we've been going through and filling everything, kind of streamlining everything and reducing drag on the bottom. There's some pitting and stuff up here on the bow. We've been filling that along, and we've ground out where our spray rail is going to go. We also removed our boot stripe, getting ready to paint the hull also. And we've ground all this down, and we've installed our interceptors for our zip wake system. These things are glued on there. They'll sit on there nice and flat. And we've gone through and smoothed all of this stuff out and coated it. Everything's good to go with it, and we're getting ready to cut the rudder, but it's coming along here. Everything we're doing is with reducing drag in mind. So got a nice clean area here where water can get to the prop. We don't have any drag affecting our thrust, so get everything streamlined. All right, so I'm gonna go through and give y'all an update on our progress here and what we've been doing. So everything on the bottom has been filled. We have to sand it a little bit and fair it out. We're gonna get everything faired out, and we have installed our spray rails here. These are made out of fir, and they're just glued on. They stick out about 2.5 inches, but they run the whole length of the boat. And we're gonna put a fillet in over these, and then we're gonna glass them. And what these do is these will give a significant amount of lift. The boat basically will be riding higher in the water, and we won't have to push as much water out of the way to get speed. And we have completed the installation of our zip wake system, and we have reshaped and refinished our rudder. And a lot of people don't pay attention to the rudders, and this is one of the most important parts of the whole process here. So basically, we go up forward here, our motor's up there, it goes to the gear, goes to the shaft, and it goes to the propeller. The power from our motor is converted to thrust right here at the propeller, and we want to have our propeller striking clean water. We want the water to come along the bottom of the boat undisturbed, flowing smoothly, and hitting the prop with as less turbulence as possible. We want our propeller to be striking clean water. The cleaner the water is when it strikes, the more thrust you get. So directly behind our propeller is our rudder, and in this case we've sharpened all of the edges on our rudder, streamlined everything, but our rudder is 1/2 inch thick stainless steel. The entire rudder system here is stainless steel. And prior to this was not sharp. Nothing on here was streamlined or hydrodynamic. And you've got a 24-inch wheel right here, so we're getting thrust from right here to right here in a circle. That's where our thrust, all of our thrust that's pushing our boat, is coming right here. And then directly behind where all of our thrust is coming, we had our rudder, and our rudder had a flat surface right here. So this water is getting pushed off of the wheel, and then we had 2 feet of rudder. We actually cut this. This was a rectangular shaped rudder. We cut it down a little bit. We should still have the same performance out of this rudder. It's just taking up less space, has less surface area, and now we have sharper edges on it. But this thrust was coming off of the propeller and then hitting our rudder here, and where it was striking the rudder, the thrust would hit it, and it would not be hydrodynamic. So it was grinding this edge straight. Figure a 1/2 inch over the course of 2 feet. That is approximately 1 square foot of thrust that was being directly impacted by this flat surface on this rudder. So that's much more streamlined now, and that should give me a little improvement in efficiency and speed. And every little bit helps, you know. We'll see. Okay, give you guys another update of what we're doing here. Our spray rail is on. It's glassed on. We're getting ready to put fairing compound on it. Put these blocks on here so that when we do lift the boat out of the water, we don't have to put blocks on there to keep our spray rail from getting broken. It's going to be permanent and in place. And so it's all glassed on there, but you'll see that that's added a lot of surface area to the chine. And what that should do is that should give us a lot of lift, and that'll lift a lot of the boat, a lot of the hull out of the water. And the more the boat is out of the water, and the higher the boat sits in the water, the more efficient our thrust can be. The less water we have to move to push the boat. So our bottom is all fair. We filled all of our hull protrusions are all filled and smooth and streamlined. And this right here, where this transducer is, there was a box right here, and we actually filled this up with foam and then put glue over the top of it there, and then smoothed it out. But the water would come down the hull, and it would come into this protrusion right here, and this was like 3 or 4 inches deep back here. It would come in here, and then this was resistance. Water would come right straight down the hull and hit this right here, and it would cause resistance on the bottom. And that would also affect our transducer right here, give us some cavitation. So our transducer should function a little bit better. But everything's smooth. It should be much more efficient. We've gone through and completely faired the underside of the hull of this boat, and brought it down to 220 grit smooth. But all of these little additions that we keep doing, you know, doing the rudder, cutting the rudder to shape might have only given us a couple of percent as far as our speed and our efficiency. And sharpening the edges on the rudder, that might have only given us a couple of percent as far as speed and efficiency. Cutting this keel back might have only given us a couple of percent in speed and efficiency. smoothing this bottom out might have only given us a couple of percent in speed and efficiency. Doing these, smoothing out these protrusions might have only given us a couple of percent in speed and efficiency. The spray rail may only give us a couple of percent in speed and efficiency. But when you start adding all of those little percentages up, a zip wake here, hopefully that'll give us a couple of percent in speed, efficiency, and make our ride better. But you start adding up all of these numbers, all of these percentages here, you know, you take a couple of percent here, a couple of percent there, but all those percentages start adding up. And by the time that we get done here, we put this boat back in the water, it should be much faster and much more efficient. We should get a lot more out of the performance of this boat off of the things that we've done to it here. We're getting ready to paint it. We're going to paint the hull. We got the hull all fared down and smooth. Getting ready to paint the hull. That doesn't do anything for the performance of the boat. It'll just make it look better. But getting ready to paint the hull. After we paint the hull, we'll have this bottom ready to paint. Paint that and put her back in the water, and we'll test her out and get some actual numbers. But I think that we should see significant increases in our performance. This boat already performed very good for a 35 Maine Coaster. Most 35 Maine Coasters, a 16 knot cruise is really all that you can expect, and we had that with a dirty bottom, and we had actually an 18 and a half knot cruise with a dirty bottom, a very inefficient bottom. So hopefully, I'm thinking that the stuff that we've done, we should get over a 20 knot cruise, but we'll see. Take a look. All right, well, here she is. Everything's finished. Alright guys, I'm going to show you some performance numbers here with our new zip wake system. We're out here on the Lynn Haven Bay, and we're having right now we're 21, 22 knots. We're at 15 gallons an hour, 80% load. Alright, show you what our whole shot looks like here. Put the zip wakes down just a little bit more. Right now we're at 600 RPMs, about 6 knots. Alright, here we go.